Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Dan in Maryland, calling from Ravens Country. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I just want to say, a lot of people seem real concerned about our need to add another receiver, whether it's in the draft, free agency, trade. I'm more concerned about a second tight end. I like Njoku a lot. Harrison Bryant, I think, is a nice third tight end, but he's a decent receiver. He's not a dynamic enough receiver to offset his deficiencies as a blocker. And I personally feel that TE2 is more important than a wide receiver 3, especially since I'm a big fan of David Bell, and I think he's going to make a huge jump this year. Anyhow, like I said, keep up the good work. Go Browns.
Appreciate all of the voicemails. Quincy, I know you have an opinion of David Bell. Let's start there, and then we'll kind of go to the tight end 2 thing.
Yeah, I like David Bell. I just got to see more out of him. But the tight end 2 thing's interesting because that's been one of those places where the Browns have been rumored to be interested in a guy like Hayden Hurst or interested in a Dylan Palmer, who's interesting, right? He's a very fast tight end. I think he ran like a 4.4. He's like 6'8". Talk about an end zone target, right? That's somebody who could be a huge end zone target. And I think the caller is on to something here because if you look at where Deshaun Watson's touchdowns and who he's thrown those touchdowns to throughout his career, it's a lot of tight ends. Mm-hmm. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns to tight ends. He loves big, tall targets. He loves 50-50 guys in the red zone. He loves giving his guys a chance to get big in the red zone and just box guys out. So that is a position that I do think that they need to put some emphasis on. And, maybe you get somebody like a Donald Parham, or maybe if they brought in Farrell Brown, who used to play with him, right? Like these are guys who can be athletic, box up. Maybe they bring in another basketball player like last year. But Deshaun likes those big targets in the red zone, and he's been real successful with those big targets.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is, I'm not discounting it. I think they're going to play more 3 wides. So you really want, in addition to David Bell, you want 4 guys that you feel can threaten a defense. That's the reason I would like them to get a veteran wide receiver. Just your thoughts on that.
I think it's important that you have 2 guys that really threaten the defense, but like after that, nobody's going to change their coverages based on what the 3rd or 4th wide receiver is really doing there, right? And I'm talking about in terms of who's going to be targeted, so not like in slot in X and Y terms. So X and Z terms, my bad. But that's not going to change anything unless you have 2 guys who can get open and the other guys can find spots in the zone or find soft spots in coverages or get weaker coverage and just win one-on-one there. So I don't think you need to overload the position. If you have Amari Cooper out there and Donovan Peoples-Jones out there, that might be enough. If you add a McCole Perriman or somebody like that, I think that'd be enough to pressure defenses and get some of those guys open. And again, this is good for getting down the field. That 4 wide, 5 wide stuff is really good for getting down the field and scoring in big chunk plays. But the Browns' biggest problem offensively, in my opinion, last year was their inability to take advantage of scoring opportunities from 20 to 10 yards out. That was a big issue for this team. And that's not going to be solved by a bunch of 5 wide packages. You're going to run some 2 tight end. You're going to run some 11 and 12 and out there. So, that's what I think would be helpful. I think that's where, when you see the Browns do play action, they'll probably do it more in that area to free guys up and to make life easier. But that's the main focus I have there, because I look at the Browns, I look at on tape, and I think if they have more success in that 10 to 20 yard area throughout the last 6 games, how we talk about Deshaun Watson right now and how we're talking about the season might be completely different, because I think they could have won 2 or 3 more games just on the strength of that.
I cannot argue that they do need a red zone target and a tight end 2, to the caller's point. It might make a lot of sense if it's the right guy.